serious charge tried in our criminal courts today. You've heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you.
The jury will now retire.
Drop dead in court.
All right, everyone's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock.
I never knew they locked the door.
Sure they locked the door. What'd you think?
I don't know. It just never occurred to me.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Nothing.
Well, I guess that they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Guess you can't say anything against it.
How'd you like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose. What's the matter? You got a cold?
Oh, Lulu, these hot weather colds could kill you.
All right, let's take our seats.
Right. This better be fast. My husband's got tickets to the 7-year lease tonight. We must be the only people in the whole world who haven't seen it yet. Okay, Your Honor, set the show.
How about sitting down? Gentleman at the window, how about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, it's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father, bang, just like that. What's the element?
They let the kids run wild.
Is everybody here?
The old man's still inside.
We'd like to get started.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep all of you waiting.
It's all right, fine. Okay, now you can handle this any way you want to. I'm not going to make any rules. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now and see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right. Let's vote now.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
Okay, start it off.
All right. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. Nine, 10, 11. All right. That's 11 for guilty. Not guilty? 1. Right. Okay, now we know where we are.
Well, somebody's in left field. You think the kid's not guilty?
I don't know.
What do you mean? You sat in court and heard the same thing I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father. 4 inches, right in the chest. They proved it a dozen different ways. You need me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Well, who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to talk for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all of his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know how some kids get that way. Because we knock them on the head once a day, every day. I just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
All right, listen, mister. I don't mind telling you this, but we don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know how much that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here, and you're not supposed to tell us we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is. I've lived among those kinds of people all my life, and you can't believe a word they say, and you know that.
What a terrible thing for a person to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
But this man says it's very dangerous.
It's all right.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. We ought to behave civilly.
Right.
If we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
She's got a good point. We have a job to do. Now let's do it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to close the window. It's blowing on my neck.
Wait a minute. I have an idea here. Now, it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe we each took a minute or two. You know, try it on for size.
Sounds fair enough. Supposing we go once around the table.
Okay, let's do it.
Right. I guess you're first.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant. Well, anyway, I just think he's guilty.
All right, let's get to the facts. Let's take the old man. He lived in the second floor apartment right below the room where the murder took place. At 10 after 12, he said he heard loud noise in the upstairs apartment, said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy yell, "I'm going to kill you." And 1 second later, he heard a body falling. Then he ran to the door of his apartment and opened it, just in time to see the boy running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police, and they found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now, what else do you want?
The boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what pictures he saw.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Wait a minute. So here's a woman lying in bed. It's hot, you know? So she rolls over. Right as she looks out the window, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. She's known the kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train, yes.
Okay, and they proved in court you could look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something. How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Well, aren't you a pretty smart fellow?
Now, take it easy.
Come on now. What are you letting this guy get you all upset for? Relax.
Let's calm down now. Number 5, it's your turn.
I'll pass this.
That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. I used to be convinced, you know, with those testimonies from the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about the boy and his father around 7 o'clock that night?
I believe it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. Now what does that prove?
It doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
All right. How about you?
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. Look, we can talk all day about this, but I think we're wasting our time. Look at the kid's record. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up for knife fighting. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm. This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So when I, a kid like that,
You're right. It's the kids. The way they are, you know, they don't listen. I got a kid. When he was 8, he ran from a fight. I saw it with my own eyes. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, "I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna bust you up in pieces trying." When he was 15, he'd be right in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. Right, kid, you work your heart out. Get on with it.
Look, we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are the breeding ground for criminals. They are. I know it. So do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want one part of them, believe me.
I've lived in a slum my whole life.
Okay, now wait a minute.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on, sweetheart. She didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
I can understand the sensitivity.
Let's stop the bickering. We're wasting time. It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. See, somehow I felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. I mean, he was appointed by the court to defend the boy. He hardly even seemed interested. I just think that too many questions were left unasked.
And what about the questions that were asked? What about that cute little switch knife? You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted buying? Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it. A matter of fact, let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Miss Foreman?
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. Right?
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence.
Fine by me.
Tonight is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
The boy admitted to going out of his house at 8 o'clock, after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted to selling it to the boy. It's a very unusual knife. The storekeeper identified it and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Am I right so far?
Yes, you're right.
You bet she's right. This woman knows what she's talking about. We need to listen to her.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket and that he never saw it again. Now there's a story. We know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with this case identified this knife. Now are you trying to tell me that someone just picked it up off the street, went up to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it, just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife, and someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I had never seen one like it before, and neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible. What are you trying to do?
Who do you think you are? Look at it. It's the same knife.
Quiet. Let's be quiet. Where did you get it?
At a little junk shop right around the corner from the boy's house. It costs just $2.
Huh. All right, now you pulled a real smart trick, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied, and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think that he lied?
Well, that's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you?
You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think that the boy lied?
I don't know.
Okay, now wait a second. What are you, the guy's lawyer? Listen, there's still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Well, whose fault is that?
Do you think maybe if we went over again? What I mean, did anyone really force him to kill his father? I feel like this guy someone forced him or something.
Perhaps this is not the point, ma'am.
No one forced anyone, but listen.
Oh, no, you're not.
God, you did something about it.
Oh, my goodness. I was going to say.
I can't
the show.
I've got a proposition to make to all. I want to call for a vote. I want the 11 of you to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. And if there's still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We're taking a guilty verdict right now.